I'll tell you what. I'll think of something during the class, and I'll try to get it during the final part of class. We'll see if we can come up with something. Um, my apologies. I feel bad. All right. So this is me. Um, I decided I would do the old RPI view here today. So there we are. But that's not really what I want to show you. Let's go into presenting some slides to begin with. So this is today's kind of housekeeping. It was a lot like last week's, so I wanted to make sure that I kept it. So I kind of am using slides again, which is not necessarily what I want to do all the time. But here's housekeeping for today. I am sending out attendance and EWSs. I've kept up on your rainbow grades. They should be relatively in shape. I think we only had 2 labs graded so far. So as soon as lab 3 is graded, I'll rerun it again and we'll be set. But again, that stuff is going out. It's kind of in the background. Today is project selection day. So what we're going to try to do is over the course of today, we're going to try to get you guys divided up into groups and have everybody have a project. Our real goal is by next Tuesday to have everybody have submitted their team and a brief synopsis of what their project is going to be to submittee. I'll show you that in just a second. And then the other important test on Friday. So on this Friday, we have a test. I have exactly one part of one question written so far. It's been a slog for some reason, but we will get it done by Friday, and you guys will have the opportunity to take it. So, I just want to, and this should say this week is the week to make the effort. I just want to point out that this is a really good week to actually be here synchronously and not do this asynchronously. I know that some of us have, it's a hardship for some of us, but, if you can, this is the week to do it. Again, I have to do attendance and EWSs. Don't panic about them. We haven't actually used up a lot of points so far. Most of your points will be on your projects, so there's definitely room to recover. But if you're kind of slacking off on the labs or you got a couple of bad grades, you may get pinged. You'll certainly get pinged if you haven't been turning stuff in. So I am hoping that by the drop deadline, we will have both the analysis paper and your test graded, so you'll have a decent amount of material to make any decisions on. And I don't expect this will be a big deal for most of you. We have about 50 students. Today is the initial day or the start of project selection. The way it's gonna go today, I have a few things I want to talk about, a few projects that I want to talk about, point out either projects that are on Arcos that I know are looking for people. And you're free to go and look for projects that I don't highlight. But there's some projects on Arcos that I know are looking for people. Some projects that got pitched externally that I know are looking for people. So I'll go through a couple of those just to give you an idea of what's coming up or what's available. Then anyone with an idea can do a quick pitch of 1 or 2 slides, about a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. After about 5, people are going to stop listening. So try to keep it concise and pithy. But the way I'm going to run this is I'll just ask for everybody with a project pitch idea to raise their hand. There's a little raise your hand button on the Nook interface, and then I'll just bring you up to the podium one by one, and you can either talk freestyle, or if you have slides, you can share your slides, and we'll all take a look at them while you kind of speak. And I think that'll go well. I haven't done this remotely before. We did it with Arcos, and it worked fairly well. We're a little more formal in the Arcos process just because there's so many students in it. So we're being a little informal here. I think we can get through everybody. After everyone is pitched, I've already started opening up a couple of lounge rooms. I think I have 5 rooms opened up right now that you guys are welcome to go into and just kind of talk. If you give me, if you tell me what you want to talk about, if one of you tells me what you want to talk about, I'll put a label on the room so people know where to find you. I also created some channels in Discord. The nice thing about the Discord channels is they should be persistent. So for people who are attending asynchronously, who don't have the ability to attend in person this week or today, they'll still be able to view this and then go to the Discord room and ask questions. So if you are planning on leading a project, or if you pitch a project, I'll create a Discord channel for you, and I'm going to ask that you make sure that you at least be responsive. If you get enough people and you're not looking for anybody else, post a message in the Discord channel just saying, we have a full team. We are not open to additional contributors. Thank you for your consideration, or something polite. But don't leave people hanging. Don't leave an open room and then just never visit it or anything. We need to start building our collaborative muscles up right now. The rest of the time today will be for you to hold discussions and figure out what you want to do. You can do that in Discord. You can do that in the lounge rooms that I'll open up. I'll hang out until the end of class time. That's basically it. Before next Tuesday, I think I have it set for Tuesday at 11:59:59, a week from today. What I'll need you to do is I'll need you to set up your team on Submiti. You can go to the Gradable, set up your team on Submiti, give me a quick one-page summary of your ideas. This will be due. I have this here as 3/8. I actually made it 3/9 just in case there were any questions next Tuesday. So I gave you an extra day on it. We're not really grading content as long as it's reasonable. I will grade whether it's there or not. So the whole idea is you have to give me a little write-up, tell me what it is in broad terms, what you're planning to do. And I really would like a series of milestones. We're on week 6. So that leaves us about 8 weeks left in the semester. So, a weekly or a bi-weekly, this is where we think we'll have our progress to, would be a good planning tool. The thing about milestones is you never actually hit all of your milestones unless they're trivial. But the importance of milestones is it gives you a sense of how the project should flow, and it gives you something to work on every week. So you either catch up your previous milestone or you're working on the current milestone. So you don't have to sit there thinking, what should I be doing today? You've kind of laid that out a little bit. I can go over that a little bit more on Friday if you'd like. I think we'll have time. I don't think the test will be all that long. Or quiz. I should call it a quiz. Semantics matters. So anyway, that's kind of the way we go. If you want to see the Submiti thing, let's go into Submiti. Right, and you can come into the gradables, and you can see where I gave you till the 9th if you're really fast there. The gradables called project teams. You come in, one of you creates a new team, or seeks partners. But the way you should do it is you should have your team figured out before you get started, or at least you should figure out that you're on a team doing Linux Foundation networking, for example. Create the team. Then once you create the team, you have the ability to invite new members by their ID. So you get everybody's RCS ID. That's the first part of their email before the @rpi.edu, and invite them in, and that'll create your team. I don't want to be on a team right now, so I'm going to kill that. And then you come back and you can submit, just a one-pager, just a quick file that says, we are doing Linux Foundation networking. There's a reason why I keep coming back to that one. But we're doing Linux Foundation networking. This is our goal for the semester. This is, what the project is going to do. This is our goal for the semester, and these are our milestones. It's very informal. The idea is, because you guys are just coming up with this now in a lot of cases, the idea is I want to know what your projects are, I want to know what you're working on, and I want you guys to have a plan. So as long as it's something reasonable in that, that covers that, and you have a team backing it up, that you put together your team, you'll get full credits. This is not a high this is not a high barrier. All right. Any questions about that? Teams can be, so how large can teams be is a difficult question, because we have some teams on Arcos that are very large. So if you're joining an Arcos team, and if you're joining an Arcos team, you don't have to put everybody down that's on that team. I'm only interested in the students that are in this class. But indicating on your little proposal, you don't have to invite them to the submittee team, but indicating on your little proposal that these are the other people on the team, or it's part of a larger group, would be preferred. So there's not an absolute number. All 50 of you can't be on one team. So just that's out. But nominally, I'm looking for 4 to 6 people. That's a good number. It gives you enough people to talk to, bounce ideas off of. I know that there will be a couple of solo projects, most likely. That's fine. You get more out of it by working with a group, or an external group. But sometimes that just doesn't work out. If you have an idea you want to pursue and you end up being solo, we do allow that. Anything above about 8 starts getting very cumbersome. So, I would say try to keep it in the range of 4 to 6. I set the limit at 10 right now. If there's a good reason, I can bring it above 10. But 4 to 6 is a good one. 8 is probably the largest group you want to be in this class. We will make exceptions. Does that help? All right. Back to the slidey things. There we go. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we are. You looked at the gradable. It's there. Not a high bar. It's basically, if you give me something that tells me what you're doing so that I know that this project is this and it's these people, and they're largely attacking this problem or this topic. That's all I really need to know. I just want to get something down so I can start getting organized on it. There's going to be a test Friday. No one has contacted me about needing a additional time or a separate testing time. I'll give you till Thursday office hours to request that. But right now it's looking like we're going to have one asynchronous test. It will be during this time period, this time block on Friday. It's going to be timed. I will open it up for whatever. I'm currently trying for about an hour. I think I have some people. Hour, maybe an hour 10. I think I have some people with 50% accommodations. So that would be either 90 minutes or 95 minutes. We can do that in the time we have available. I am going to take a look at it. If I need to, I will allow you to stay late. It will be a timed exam on submittee. Submittee can already do that and can already apply automatic deductions based on how much and how much you go over the allotted time. So please plan on being here. Please plan on taking it, and please plan on essentially timing yourselves. I will, to the extent possible, give you timing cues, but your time actually starts when you open the exam, and I'll have some fuzz period in between so that you guys don't have to start and everybody start at the same time and everybody end at exactly the same time. It's going to be open book and open notes, so you have access to all of your notes from this class. Don't go beyond, don't go Googling Stack Overflow or Chegg. Stick with the stuff that we gave you. It's on our system. If I catch you, on Chegg asking people for how to do something, or if I catch people collaborating on the answers, you will get a 0. I don't like talking about that part. I'm hoping that it doesn't come up. But please do your own work. This isn't that hard of a test, and half the grade is your projects. So roughly half the grade is your project. So it doesn't make sense to do too much. You know, the risk reward is pretty high. Is pretty poor on that, right? There's a lot of risk and very little reward. I'm just going to go down just so you see where this is. Yeah, so the quizzes are 10 points each. The project's 40%, right? So if you combine the project and your analysis paper that you just did, that's 50% of your grade. So, you know, cheating on a test is, like I said, a very poor risk-reward strategy. All right. Any questions? That is not what I expected to show here. Where is that? All right, let me see. We're presenting slides, and I need to change the properties to be... And of course, now I have it all on the same thing, so... There we go. All right. So any questions before we move on? Let me check. No, nobody, no hands raised. You guys can all see how to raise hands, right? Anybody having problem finding where to raise the hand? Having seen no responses, I'm going to assume that you guys all know what you're doing. All right, so let's start with the activities of the day, and this is trying to get ourselves kind of organized. The first thing I want to point out is that there is, and I'll paste this into the chat. There is a place for IBM projects. The IBM projects are ongoing. You should be able to get to them through this link. I think I posted that earlier. If not, my apologies. Or maybe I just posted their presentation, their video. But you know, all of these projects tend to be projects that are open long term. So I expect that most of the IBM projects will kind of continue on. We'll drop the Kubernetes one because that doesn't actually have mentor support. But Javier Perez has a project on IBM is coming out with, or it came out with a while ago, a new platform. It's kind of a main it's an old school log into mainframe computer. Thank you. Big Iron. But what they're trying to do is IBM actually has a big commitment to open source, and they're trying to bring open source projects onto their platform, their S390X platform. Most of the time, you know, it's running essentially a version of Linux, if I'm not mistaken. So most of the time, it's pretty easy to port things, but the more things they get ported, the more open it is, and the more people will be able to use it. So they are looking for people to take existing open source processors and put them onto the new S390X processor architecture. And that's being led by Javier. These are all the people that are using it, or that have, you know, access to this, or have been ported, or have, you know, have some association with the S390X. Javier has a decent group of students working with him. I would certainly encourage you, if you're interested, in reaching out and seeing if he would be willing to take on more people. I did warn all of Arcos and all of IBM that that we did have another influx of students who would be looking for open source projects. So this shouldn't come as a surprise to them. But if you just, if you want me to do an introduction, or if you want to do something on that, just let me know. This is Javier's platform. Again, it's kind of nice. It's taking existing open source projects and putting them onto a new architecture, a new old architecture. A second one is called Call for Code. IBM has been involved with Call for Code for several years now. 2018, in the fall of 2018, I helped them put together a hackathon. Over a 2-week period, we put on a hackathon that attracted almost 500 students, which was pretty substantial, particularly for that amount of effort. But they are looking at different humanity-focused open source projects. The requirements are that it be humanitarian and open source, and they have a number of topics that are going on this semester. And there are existing projects. They've been running this for a couple years. Every year they pick a couple of themes, and people submit projects on it. So there are existing projects that you can contribute to, and there are new. You can create new projects around specific themes. Let's see. These are, in the year that I did it, I think these were the Project Owl was one of the winning projects. We have a set of students who are actually working on this cluster duck protocol. They want to do a Project Owl deployment and see if they can extend the Project Owl repository, the cluster duck repository. But all of these are projects that have previously gone on. Daniel Crook, is the lead from IBM on this. So you can take a look at the things that they have out there and see if you want to contribute to them, or if you have ideas, etc. And he can give you a better idea if this appeals to you. Please feel free to contact him and reach out. We have Truth Loop going on. We have and legit info. So the 3 projects that I'm aware of are Cluster Duck for ad hoc networking. So if your network goes down and you have an emergency situation and people are trying, you're trying to find out whether your loved ones are alive, or you're trying to tell your friends and relatives that you're still alive, but there's no network. Cluster Duck allows you to set up an ad hoc network. Truth Loop is to help communities understand policies, regulations, and legislation that will impact them the most. And then Legit Info is local, helping people understand local legislation. I think there was another one as well that I'm not actually seeing. Oh, IARS, Transparency for Police Reporting, by allowing witnesses to collaborate to publicize and collaborate and see each other's reports. So anyway, that's kind of call for the Call for Code projects. Again, they have a good group there. They may be willing to take some more. Aegeria, if you're interested in AI, this is extending Jupyter Lab for AI. Luciano Rosende is the IBM lead. So, again, it's extending the ecosystem, the Jupyter ecosystem, to make better use of AI, or to simplify AI. And art is, huh. Well, that one is apparently protected. I don't remember what that one said, but that is also being taken up by a couple of students. We can see that in the Arcos. Yeah, that should be available on Arcos if anybody's interested. And finally, we have Aegeria, and the reason I saved that one, oh man, Aegeria is one. There we go. Maybe Biats will work as well. So Aegeria is actually doing metadata on information. So it's allowing you to do provenance and governance on accumulation of data, so that you can better track and find the data you're looking for. It's a fairly big project, except within Arcos, we only have one person working on it, and that person has indicated that they would really love to have somebody else working on it. That it's a big project and it's kind of interesting, and you know, he would be very interested in having somebody else join him. So if any of you are interested, I know that this one is looking for people. I think that Mandy would be very welcoming to it as well. So please, consider, among all the IBM projects, this is the one that is a little bit underserved by our current staffing. So that would be a good one to kind of consider. I think metadata or provenance on data is a pretty interesting topic, and probably far more interesting than it appears from my fairly quick skip through. And this time, Adversarial Robustness Toolkit. Yeah, we have a couple people working on this as well. So the idea is this is looking at protecting machine learning models against adversarial attacks. So it's kind of interesting, if you're in RPI-Sec or if you're interested in security and robustness and machine learning, it's another great project. Again, I think we have a decent number of students on this, but if you want, I can certainly put you in contact with Biat if you want to know more. All of these slides have links. Please kind of take a look at those. They should be, like I said, the IBM projects are relatively ongoing, so there should be some room there. But we will have to reach out to them. Reaching out is good. It's part of the open source way of doing things. All right, that brings us to the second one that I want to bring up. I think we had somebody last class who was interested in this, but open source networking, the Linux Foundation, which is set up to protect and develop Linux, is here. This is that foundation. What they're looking for is somebody to help them with their open source networking. I've had a number of email conversations with Jim Baker. He is looking for students, and so far I have one student who applied to it, and he has turned out to be a no-show. So I don't actually know what's going on with that project. So if you want to get involved with Linux, if you think Linux would be a cool world to be part of, this would be a great project. A lot of what they're doing is they're trying to come up with I think a lot of it is trying to come up with automated testing for this open network automation platform. But Jim is, like I said, Jim Baker is very interested in talking with us and getting something set up. So he would be really interested in giving you more information about this. You know, if you're, I can't stress enough that the credentials here that you can get by working on the Linux, by working on a Linux Foundation project, right? I would be kind of impressed if I were an employer. So if you're looking outside to kind of continue this or to turn this into a career, you know, it's really interesting, and I think that this would be a good one to go on. And I know that we have a motivated mentor who would be willing to kind of help you out, help you figure this one out. So anyway, it'd be good to get, you know, if anybody's interested, that would be good. And finally, here's one from, well, not finally, but here's an idea from Professor Stewart. If you don't know Professor Stewart, Chuck Stewart is the head of the department, and he was browsing through and seeing if you've tried to get a vaccine here in New York State, it is a pain. There are month waiting lists. My niece had to get my parents signed up because my parents couldn't go through the complications of figuring it out. So if you go to this New York Times article, they're basically looking for a project, or Chuck basically suggested a project, you know, maybe locally for the RPI community, but maybe, you know, in New York State or globally, for how to get, you know, an aggregator of all the websites and all the information and all the scheduling for how to get signed up, you know, in the most convenient way with the quickest turnaround on a personal basis for getting the vaccine when it's available to your group. So anyway, that was a suggestion by Chuck. That would again be a really good project if you're interested in it. Jack Mansfield is the lead on BrokerBot. He is also the only current student, and he has kind of put out to me that he would be happy or delighted or would prefer to get a few more people working on his project. So I told him I would present it today. BrokerBot, he wants to continuously analyze market conditions to make profitable trades by automating trading strategies such as momentum and mean reversion. I am not a finance guy, but it sounds kind of cool. And by the way, we always have a couple of these. Stock broker kinds of applications. Some of them are pretty cool. A lot of them are trying to analyze market conditions. The problem is that everybody else is trying to do the same. So your robot doesn't have to be smarter than a person. It has to be smarter than the other robots now. But, you know, it's an interesting project. And he is open and looking for some people. Hunter, you're around, right? So I see Hunter. It looks like he's there, but he appears to be muted. You can correct me if I got this wrong, but I thought you said that Poll Buddy would be open to new students as well.
You're correct.
Cool. Do you want to say anything about Poll Buddy?
Nope.
Not to put you on the spot.
Not much to say. It's pretty much all in the slideshow. Yeah. The only thing is that since this is starting late, it's probably better that you have some experience. I know it's in the slides says no experience, but that will definitely help you get up to speed since you're now like 3 or 4 weeks behind everyone else. So definitely doable, but some experience is preferred.
So, you know, Poll Buddy is Hunter hates, I think that should be subtitled Hunter hates eye clickers. But
perhaps.
And I think you guys are heading for deployment this year, right?
Yes. Hopefully this semester we'll start doing some trials.
Cool.
More trials anyways.
All right. Those were the ones that, those are the easy ones from what I had so far. I would like to, you know, just, it's a noble cause. Eye clickers are silly expensive. Yes, So anyway, these are the ones that I really had available, or that I'm aware of that are really available. And again, the things that I would like to really recommend to you is, I think Aegeria would definitely be looking for people. I know that the student on it is definitely looking for people. I know that the Linux Foundation would be looking for people, and they do sponsor, paid positions as well, I believe. I'm not absolutely sure of that. I have to go back and look at my notes. I should have looked at that later or earlier. So, if you do well and you want to continue this, there may be opportunities there. So I think that's a really cool one. And automated testing and continuous integration and deployment are really hot topics in industry right now. And then Professor Stewart had a suggestion for a vaccine consolidation service, so that people could have a one-stop place to get information on where, when, why to get their COVID-19 vaccination. And you can see that this could be extended to other types of opportunities. And then we have BrokerBot and PollBuddy from Arcos. All right, that's all I had. So now comes the fun part. What I would like to do is, if you are interested in presenting, please raise your hand. And what I'm going to do is I'll bring you up here one at a time. So far, we have one raised. I think I need about at least 8 more of you. There's 2. 3. Okay, we're starting to get them. There we go. All right, we're up to 4, which makes me feel better. I'm going to start off with, I'm going to invite Jacob Zamani up to the stage. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you want to share your screen, that's fine. If you just want to, talk ad hoc, please feel free to do that as well. There's how I stop sharing. All right. Jacob Zamani, take it away.
Yeah, here, let me share my screen, see if I can. Do you see it?
I do.
All right.
Why don't you, could you maximize it? Put it into present mode?
Sure. Let's see.
Upper right corner.
Yep.
Or your keyboard.
All right. Cool. So Employed is a pre-existing and now soon to be open source project. So basically the idea is that is a service-based social media web application where users can seek out skilled workers in their community for their services to accomplish any project or task at home. So anyone looking for landscapers, electricians, contractors, and other people along those lines to accomplish any tasks at home. So basically, it's kind of a mix of like a LinkedIn, Angie's List kind of cross, where you can kind of seek out specific workers in your community and kind of take a look at some of the jobs that they've accomplished in the past, and you can make a decision based on that instead of going through a whole 18 slide form for Angie's List. So this is a pre-existing project. For our front end, we've got about 40% of it completed. We have the main skeleton and structure in there. We still need to do some authentication stuff and so our tech stack, we do our front end in TypeScript React with Redux as our state manager. And our backend is in C# using the .NET framework. And our database is hosted in Microsoft Azure. So our repos are up in the top corner, and as well as any contact information. And
Nice. You did lose me for a second when I was trying to change names of rooms. But that was my fault, not yours. But it sounds like I didn't miss too much. Any questions for Jacob? And by the way, I set up, if you look over at the student spaces, I set up a space for employed. Once we're done here, I think I'll ask Jacob to go hang out there for a bit, and you guys can kind of talk and see if you can make a connection.
Cool.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I have Gabriel Orlanski next. I'm going to invite Gabriel up. Gabe?
Oh,
there you go. No, you're doing good.
yeah. Okay. So I'm just presenting for Allen NLP. It's a natural language processing library developed by the Allen Institute for AI. And it uses Python and PyTorch specifically. There is no support for TensorFlow, unfortunately, but that could be a project that you could work on. But the main goals and plans for working on this project would be add support for more data sets, implement models from papers, and create examples in Google Collaboratory, as well as improving the documentation for the tutorials and for understanding the different methods. The GitHub is linked on the screen, and you can contact me through my RPI email or just on the Discord as well if you have any questions.
All right. Very nice.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. I think I have you down. I have you down under bread on Allen NLP. Rory, how do you pronounce your last name?
I'm sorry, it's Eve.
Eve?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Everyone gets my last name wrong, so don't worry about it. Alrighty. Can everybody see this?
Yes, I am your father, or not your father.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So basically, I'm sure a lot of people have been in this scenario where you just get into a new show, and you want to look up things about your favorite character. So you look up their name, and then Google pops up with the search result like death or like dies, or maybe you find out that they're like the bad guy, and that's like basically like the Google results spoil the show for you. So kind of, I haven't really worked on this yet. And if you want to join, we'd be doing, I guess, some brainstorming to figure out what exactly we want to do. But basically, some sort of like browser extension that kind of like filters out these spoilers so that you don't like ruin the experience for you. And then in terms of like the anticipated technologies, just the basic like web stuff for now, that could be subject to change if we learn more about the project and things like that. But yeah, it's going to be like a good learning experience for me, and I hope for anyone else who joins. And we have me and my friend Covenant on the project right now. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for listening, guys.
Awesome. Now I get the I am your father. You don't want that to show up if you haven't seen the end.
Yeah, I tried to figure a spoiler that kind of like everybody knows, so I wouldn't like actually spoil anything on you.
An anti-spoiler spoiler.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. One of the great things about the here and now is that there is enormous amount of data available. The real advance in AI isn't so much. There have been increases in the algorithms and everything like that, but man, just having all of this training data around is such an advantage. So, this should be a cool project, and we have a lot of data available for that, I think. Not personally, but just as a general thing. All right, Kevin, are you ready?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Cool. Okay, let me share. Oh, why isn't PowerPoint showing up? Okay, I guess I just have to do the whole screen. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So, hey, everybody. My name is Kevin Boyle, and the project I'm pitching is a project from scratch. There is nothing in it at all so far, but my goal here is to try to make like a personal website where you can like talk about your projects and that kind of thing. But um, since we plan to make it ourselves, it sort of is its own like resume item, or like your own sort of proof of like your technological experience. So, kind of like I just said, it's just giving a way to show off that you actually can do some of the things on your resume. And then, so, just having some pages about like having a resume, past projects, work experience, those kinds of basic things. I talked to someone who like I worked with last year, and like he has like an email server set up, so like that's his like email. He uses like his own like personal website for that. And then other ideas I have just like maybe way down the road is like if you do have some kind of project from school where like some kind of really complicated data structures homework or something like that, integrating some sort of terminal to like actually show it working, and like here's how you can run it, and verify it works, and those kinds of things I think could be like a cool future thing. So in terms of making it like a group sort of project, I'm thinking of hopefully building it out from scratch in like a templated form where you have like kind of like I have here with like resume page, past project, work experience, and then you could you'll have to put in your own kind of content, but then you could also make your own pages of those kinds of things I said. So I mean, this is like I said, there's nothing there, so this can all change, but I'm thinking probably of having some kind of like forked style where there is the main repo, and that's just going to have everything templated, and there's not going to be like any personal information. That's just like insert name here, insert resume here, that kind of thing. And so I've wanted to do React stuff. I've only ever really done a little bit of it, so I would say I want to use that as the technology mostly because I just want to learn it. And then I don't really know what kind of database things we would need, but I mean, I've used SQL, so if we have to use a database, then I'll try to use SQL maybe. And then, we'll have HTML, CSS stuff in there, and maybe for, running it at some point, we can include Docker in there just to, if it's a good thing that will be, used in many other projects. So I think I'm treating this as like a project to learn things, more so than using things that you're familiar with. But yeah, so if anyone sounds interested, here's my information. And I guess, like I'll have one of the rooms to sit in. So thanks for listening.
I called it open source resume because personal website I don't think fits.
As in like fits in the name box.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Yeah. So one thing about a project like this, publishing a personal resume or a personal website online is not as interesting as an open source thing, although it is. But your idea of having templates and specializations is really interesting, and I think that's part of a real value add would be an open source thing that allows people to quickly, particularly computer naive people, to quickly come up with
that's
I'd like to,
yeah. I was gonna say like that's like kind of I mean I guess when we first started I was like, oh yeah, I do a project in this class. I just kind of thought of like doing my own personal thing, but then I'm like, all right, we're trying to incorporate other people. How is that going to work? But yeah, I think like sort of like you run the start command and then it builds out the like most templated thing, or you say like put these arguments for like I want a about me page, a resume page, and a work experience page, and then it's like, all right, that's built out for you automatically, and then then you just put your stuff in or something like that. So
exactly, and we have a couple of these. So you may want to look at On My Own Time, which is a current project at Arcos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much this overlaps. There's overlap is a I'm a very Darwinistic kind of from a philosophy standpoint. I like when we collaborate, but if there's two competing ideas and they don't get along or whatever, or they're just on different schedules and things, then I'm perfectly willing to let them compete. It's actually part of the open source experience when you're working and all of a sudden somebody jumps in, like quacks and yaks, right?
Yeah.
Right. You get at this point where you actually have competitors, and it tends to make both projects stronger. So I'm not against, but you should look at what's already there as you go forward, just to see what you can steal legally, right? If it's open source,
Right.
you just got to follow through on the things and just see what what you can pick up, because I think that there's some really good ideas out there, there's some really good ideas out there, and let's push them forward.
Sounds good.
All right. Anybody else? I've only hit 4 of you, and I thought I needed at least 7 or 8. That said, we do have a bunch of rooms available. Anybody else want to present? Anybody else have an idea? I'm going to warn you a little bit that I did set up rooms for most of these, or for all of these, but for some of the ones that I presented, we do actually have to send you off to talk to other people. I'm going to answer whatever questions. I'm not going to be just sitting there because I think there would be like 4 rooms that I would need to be in. But I will certainly go in if you chat me. I'll drop in on the room. I'll give you the information I have. But for some of these, particularly the IBM projects, you can go in and you can take a look at them and discuss amongst yourselves whether you want to set up a team. Things like the call for code, they are, they're perfectly open to your ideas, and a lot of them there are definitely openings. So anyway. Oh, so Gabriel, you're on the art project? I should have checked it. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that would be great. Colton doesn't have a presentation, but he's willing to go extemp, which is a very difficult and trying thing to do. So why don't we pull Colton up for a second? If you raise your hand, Colton, actually, maybe I can just invite you. Raising your hand makes it easier for me. Thank you. All right, come on up.
And apparently, it looks like there's a filter over me in the bottom right-hand corner. I can't see much. I haven't presented on this.
You should be able to pick the center stage, can't you?
Oh, there we go. All right, so I don't have anything particular in mind. I'm open to ideas, but I kind of want to work on image recognition software or OCR, just object character recognition software. Nothing in mind in particular. I just thought it would be interesting. So if anyone's interested, just shoot me a message. My Discord's Colton #0001 or zeccac@rpi.edu, ZECCAC@rpi.edu. So if anyone wants to work on any image recognition software or anything like that, I was looking at Open, I think it was Open IR or something, or OpenCV. Yeah. So if anyone's interested, go ahead and send me a message. And yeah, that's all I have. No presentation.
So there's a lot of libraries on open image recognition, and OpenCV is certainly a very good one to use. Depending on what you want to do, there's a local company called Kitware who works with VXL. There used to be a substantial RPI VXL effort. I don't know that it's still active. VXL is still active. I'm not sure that the RPI branch is still as active. OpenCV is great. ITK and VTK are there. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I did my presentation on OpenCV, or my what's it called, the open source essay on OpenCV.
Cool.
And then I was also looking at, there's one that Google makes. They have their own object recognition software, and there's a few other ones. Some of them are defunct, but I mean, there's a plethora of them, which is
Yep.
Yeah, I just found it interesting because that's eventually where some of the market's going to go, and I feel like it'd be good to know.
Yeah, and a lot of them are getting more and more towards more and more AI. When I used to work in roughly in this area before, but I was actually doing pathology recognition, like cancers and things. We used to have to hard code everything, or not hard code, but come up with algorithms for gradients and shape recognition and things like that. And now more and more, they're popping into sorry, there was a message that just went by and it distracted me. They're going more and more the AI route, and we'll actually do well if we get to the module. We actually have a module on TensorFlow doing the current incarnation of it does a recognition of shirts and shoes and things like that, which is kind of fun, but not nearly as fun as what I'm hoping you guys come up with. All right, let's see, Professor. Oh yeah, never mind. That was a previous message.
Mike, return. I assume return to table just puts me back in the original spot.
I think so. I have never been on that end, and this is not always intuitive, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, Jeremy, I've done that before too. So, oops, there it is. Or there it isn't. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else interested? Ayush? Is that close? You are invited to the stage. Yep. um, yeah, I think Hunter's idea may be the right one. It also may be that it didn't. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you too. I don't have a presentation either. So I'm just
It's
kind of
okay.
having
Was it required?
ideas. All right, let's just application window. Let's just share that. All right. So I have been doing I've been playing with a bunch of emulators for Decima and stuff like that. And one thing I've genuinely noticed is that they don't really have support for Wi-Fi connection. Decima in particular is just not going to support that. So one idea I had was, to maybe fork Decima off and actually try and make support for it. Probably be pretty complicated, but be worth a shot. It's also the fact that Decima doesn't really use doesn't properly use the graphics card.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one idea. Anything with speech recognition would also be pretty interesting to me. So let me just pull my info and the everything.
Okay, I set you up a room called Wi-Fi Connected Decime.
Oh,
Sounds
fun.
like I didn't spell Decime right, at least not as far as.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird especially for capitalization. So it's fine.
Something like that. But yeah, so we have L and NLP might be a good place to kind of. You guys may want to talk a little bit, but I'm not sure that that's actually if you're going to do speech recognition, I'm not sure how far that falls in with it. But certainly, how familiar are you? Is Decime an open source project?
Yeah, Decima is open source. They have all their code on GitHub.
Okay, what's the licensing?
Just give me a sec.
Yeah, no problem. Just whatever you fork is going to have to be compliant with whatever license they have, and that was the only criteria that I was going to kind of talk to you about. And once you do that,
they're under GPL 2.0.
Okay, so you would have to essentially be under a GPL 2.0.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. You can check whether you can upgrade to 3.0. 3.0 is actually a little better because it allows for future migrations to other GPL versions, but I'm not sure you can. We'd have to see whether the GPL 2 may require GPL 2. So once you fork, you're free to use whatever you want, as long as you keep it GPL 2. But as a good citizen, if you get something working well, you may want to offer it back to them, as a pull request, just as a one, it would get you on the main branch and get you like mad props or something, but it would also be a nice thing to do. So make sure you understand what they're doing, and then come up with a plan.
All right.
You probably want to focus on one or the other though for this
Yeah,
semester.
I'm definitely not gonna do both of them.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome.
Okay. How do I return control? Do I just exit the room?
I think you just or you can go back to a room or something like that.
All right.
All right. Anybody else? I will tell you that you guys have let me down. There is always somebody doing Bitcoin, and I think between you and Arcos, there is nobody doing Bitcoin this year, or if not Bitcoin, any of the electronic currencies, essentially the mining part of it, or using the mining to do something else like permissions and things. So you guys are just let me down this time. Just saying. Crypto's gone. Too mainstream. Exactly. Market will crash in the next few months. You can say that a lot. Fortunately, most of the time it comes back relatively quickly. Oranges don't have a good half-life. But I do like oranges. All right. I think we're in good shape right now. We have you guys have seen the Eddie Murphy movie, right? Trading Places or something like that. Yeah, very good. All right, so I'm going to leave this running. We'll leave the chat running. If any of you want to present still, let me know. We'll bring it up. But for right now, the rooms are open. Let's start. We can start joining them and start discussing things. If you have questions about some of the projects that I brought up there, I can at least get you started and bring you, get you the contact information, or give you what I know. I'm going to close down the homework party because we don't need homework parties right now. And just start thinking about this and start thinking about I do want a little bit of a write-up just so I know what you're doing. It's not going to be, it's a, there, not there kind of grading. So it's not a big deal. But please start doing discussions, start getting interested, and ask me any questions you can. Let's get this figured out. We've got 2/3 of the semester ahead of us, so we can do great things in 2/3 of a semester. Not like those people from WPI. Scribble.io or S. So Zachary, okay, so here's a couple things. Let me get a room for Scribble.io. Just make sure you're not violating any copyrights. Make sure you follow the right. And I'm going to spell this incorrectly, almost guaranteed, because I can't see the room and the chat at the same time. Okay, so I created that. Again, I think I created it incorrectly, but we'll go. So somebody's asking me about the requirements for the Linux Foundation. Let me show my screen and I'll see what I have there. I did give them a warning that, not a warning, but I did tell them that we have really good students, but not all of them have experience in everything. So they shouldn't be expecting, that you are absolutely up to date. I think the most important, let me see what he calls out. So they're trying to move their network to 5G and beyond, and they're using this ONAP technology. I think I'm not seeing any specific requirements. I think a lot of what they want you to do is involved with setting up and generating testing for their system. So I think you would end up getting a lot of experience working with them. I'm just not seeing that he's called out a lot of requirements, and Jim did seem very interested in actually mentoring some of our students. So I'm going to suggest that I'm not seeing a lot of hard requirements. It might be worth reaching out to Jim and just kind of telling him your interests, capabilities, knowledge base, and seeing what he has to say. Garrett, by the way, I think that's a project review installation. It looks also like they have a lot of different areas to work in. So it may be that you could tailor what you worked on based on your specific interests or knowledge base. Yeah, this is a review system. I haven't used this. Geez, in 6 or 7 years. I love this thing. was a tool for actually doing code review. It's better than the one in GitHub, for example. Significantly better than the one in GitHub. Okay, Colton, you're going to release hounds after escaping oranges. I'm not seeing that as being particularly useful. Anyway, Zachary, does that answer your question? Could I send that PDF I'm looking at? I'll tell you what, I think I posted it in Discord. Let me check, and I will repost it in Discord if I didn't. Or I'll repost it in Discord, regardless. In fact, the reason it has 2 there is because I forgot where I had it. So apparently I've downloaded it 3 times now off of Discord. Okay, I'm going to post it into the general area. Actually, it's just one day above, so it's just right up. It's right up there in the general area. It doesn't make sense to post it again because it's not even off my screen yet. Is that okay, Zachary and Abdul? And by the way, on Discord for our persistent communications, I have 5 of them set up so far. I'll try to get the rest of them set up